You go, Bart, got it. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. This is the October 20th, 2022 meeting of the Syracuse Board of Review. This hearing is being held via video conference call, WebEx, at the following location: the Hughes State Office Building, 333 East Washington Street, main hearing room, first floor, Syracuse, New York, 13202. The time now is 09:36 a.m. and this hearing is officially open. The members of the board are to my left, Gail Swistek, to my far right, Jeffrey Hindler-Leiter, and to my right, Andrew Garlick. My name is C. Thomas Parsons. I'm chairman of this board. And from the Department of State, we have Mr. Tom Tutulia. We'll now hear the scheduled petitions. When you speak, please address the board and give your name, title, and legal address so that our court reporter can have all the information requested. We may have to stop from time to time to consult with our technical staff. In making comments to the board, please provide a descriptive narrative on the matters referring to your exhibits to enable the court reporter to enter these into the record. And I will repeat, when you speak, whether you're in person or remotely, just state your name and verify we have the correct spelling for our court reporter. And if you're here in person and you have a business card, you can leave a business card for the court reporter as well. Okay, so the first hearing will be in the matter of petition number 2022-0490. Petitioner is Holy Smoke Stony Creek. And do we have the applicant present?
Yes.
Okay. And who's going to speak first?
I'm William Pitcher of Pitcher Architect, 124 Fiegel Avenue, Syracuse, New York, 13203, representing the owner.
Okay.
The building in question is a wedding reception hall. The variants requested were for interior finishes. In discussion with the codes officials, we're dropping that request. The incandescent coating is sufficient for Chapter 8 finishes. We are requesting the dropping of the sprinkler system requirement for the assembly spaces by modifying the existing building, first by separating mixed occupancies, second by reducing the size of the A2 assembly occupancy, and third, adding a fire alarm and detection system. We believe at the beginning of this analysis, I believe that the building was an existing building appropriately reviewed under Chapter 13 of the existing building code. When I did the first analysis under Chapter 13, the building failed without the sprinkler system. When I did the second analysis with those changes to the building and adding the fire alarm system, the building passed. We presented the study to the code official and I was informed that the building was not an existing building. That because the building permit was still open and because the final certificate of occupancy had not been issued, it was not an existing building, in spite of the fact that events were being held in the building. Chapter 13 of the existing building code doesn't apply, but I think it does provide some points of analysis and some things to be considered. In Chapter 13, the most important thing is the safety of the occupants, not necessarily the preservation of the property. The proposed fire alarm system provides that kind of protection. The tripwires for the sprinkler system under the main building code for Group A2 is a story, not at grade level. That doesn't apply to this building. It's a single-story building with grade level exits. Greater than 5,000 square feet. The existing building is about 8,200 square feet. And that the proposed changes we're making, adding separations between the mixed occupancies and reducing the size of the assembly space reduce it to the assembly space to less than 5,000 square feet. And the third tripwire is more than 100 occupants. That one we can't get around. It was suggested that the space be posted for a maximum of 99 people as an occupancy requirement. And that's what we're requesting in lieu of the sprinkler system. Let's see. Regarding the hardship, the applicant has a bid of $103,000 for the materials and labor of installing the sprinkler system. That bid excludes the excavation and burying of the storage tanks. It's a rural site without public water. So we figure that the entire installed sprinkler system is probably $120,000 of additional cost. The fire alarm and detection system was installed. We believe that the fire alarm system provides the same early warning to the building occupants as a sprinkler system would. And we don't believe that adding the sprinkler system substantially increases that life safety function. And that's the end of my presentation.
Okay. Questions for the presenter? Board have questions?
When was the building originally built, and is that permit that is still open, or was it a renovation or alterations permit?
It's a new building. The permit was pulled, I think, in January of 2018, and it's still open.
Was the application for an assembly occupancy?
Yes, it was for the wedding reception venue.
At the time when you submitted the building permit, was there a sprinkler system in the design?
Yes, there was.
So at the time when you proposed this and you built this, you understood you were going to install a sprinkler system?
Well, I'm the second architect,
Okay,
so I don't know what the original design was,
okay.
original design agreements.
Have you seen the building permit, the submittal documents that were submitted?
No, I haven't seen those.
Any questions?
So you stated the fire alarm system has already been installed.
That's my understanding, yes.
I see on the request is to have the alarm system modified to not require a manual fire alarm, but to go to a simple interconnected system. So what system has been installed and how does that relate to the request?
I'm going to have to get more information on that.
If I may, can I add some information? I'm the owner of the building.
Yep, just a minute. We just want to finish Mr. Pitcher and then we'll come right back to you, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Any more questions for the architect?
What is the height of the building, ceiling height, and what type of facility structure like?
It's a two-level. You have basically a lower aisleway ways, it's about 12 foot. And then you have the center, which has some clear story windows, and that's about 20 feet high.
Okay, but it is single story. There's
It
no,
is a single story,
no mezzanines.
no mezzanines.
And you've created a 2-hour separation from all the other rooms.
Yes, basically, that is the reduced Group A2 assembly space. And that's 48,929 square feet. So that's getting under the 5,000 limit for that. Basically, we added the office area, the commissary, and the storage area to reduce the assembly area and separated those with properly rated walls.
And you mentioned posting something at 99 people.
Yes, the posted occupancy would be 99 people.
For that entire A2 area.
Yes.
How are they going to regulate 99 people? Is there anything in place to make sure that that's the number of people in the area?
In terms of enforcement, I don't know, what agreements have been arrived at. I assume that granting the variance creates the legal necessity for the owners to operate them in that manner.
Just one moment. The architects presented a drawing which we're going to show as Exhibit D, because that's what you're referencing, and you'll have to leave that with us.
Yep.
Okay. So Exhibit D has been entered. So the calculated occupancy for the space is over 300 people.
Correct.
At seating, at tables and chairs. If the dance floor, obviously it can be denser. So theoretically, you could go well over 300 people comfortably in a space like this. So that's, for me, that's a hard
Right.
sell to say you're only gonna limit to 99. This space could easily hold 3 times that amount.
The only thing I can say is that what they've held and what they've booked, most of their bookings are around 100. It's a rural venue area, and possibility of a larger attendance probably is very low.
Once this is granted a variance, while it may be a wedding venue today, it could be a bar nightclub next week to sold to a different owner. The variance travels with, it lives with this building for as long as it exists. So that's one of the challenges we have, as board member, I have to look at this and saying, well, you may say today, we have 99 in the book, but if the property is ever sold in the future, become a nightclub, and it becomes a popular venue, have, even though it says 99, people could be occupying well over just because of your availability of space. So it's a little challenging for us.
Is there another legal way of putting a limitation on that occupancy? Through an easement or through an amendment to the deed?
It's a function of enforcement, because, paraphrase the Field of Dreams, build it, they will come. That's kind of the way I look at buildings when they say, we're only going to limit the occupancy to this, but however you build it big enough to host a fairly large group, people will argue that it's underutilized, why the rules are the rules.
So the only remaining way to a variance would be to re-subdivide that assembly area into more smaller spaces that would no longer legally have an occupancy greater than 100.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult to live with this occupant load. I don't know if the code enforcement officials here today, but we'll certainly ask for their feedback on this. All right. If you have nothing more, the owners, just okay. So the owner's representative is here. State your name, please.
Yes, my name is Magdalena Tarpinian.
Okay. So you have some information to share with us?
Yes, so the building is made up of ICF blocks. The ceiling, the main room is approximately 20 feet tall. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it. So that's the main space. As you can see, the floor is concrete. The ceiling is finished with the steel. And also the interior walls are finished with some wood planks, and we have already treated the wood with the 2-hour rating paint. The exit, so there is no hallways, no stairs, no hidden rooms. The exit doors, we have 2 giant exit doors. One of them is 8 foot wide. The other one is 9 foot wide. We have a fire detection system installed. So at this point, the sprinkler system, I've been dealing with the sprinkler company since May. And right now I'm on a 3rd company. The last one out of Syracuse told me that because of the labor shortages, they will not take the job. The other company said that we are waiting on some parts since May to get even the accurate estimate. And I've been calling them every week, and they cannot tell me when they're gonna get it, how soon, what is the price. I have no information. So at this point, we are stuck in a corner. We have nowhere to go to finalize this. And we were really hoping to have that venue to be for more people, but at this point, we are ready to sacrifice and have smaller events. Like our architect said, the whole side of the building is the storage area, like maintenance room, this kind of stuff. So we were wondering if we could fireproof those walls. I was reading some, I might be totally wrong. I don't know if I'm correct. I'm not an expert with that, but I was reading, there were suggestions that if the code allows, we can do 4 layers of sheetrock and install fireproof doors to kind of separate the main room from the other side, and that way we would fall under the square footage that requires the sprinkler system. So if we are just wondering if this is something that we could do to avoid the whole system.
Okay. Let me ask our board members, does anybody have a question for the owners?
Are you the original permit applicant? Are you the one who originally built the building?
Yes.
So it was noted that this building is not considered an existing building due to it being still under construction, still doesn't have a certificate of occupancy. Can you shed some light on that process and where you're at then in securing a C of O and
Yeah.
kind of explain that to us, how the space is being used right now without a C of O?
So like when originally we got the prints done, it included the sprinkler system. And we were following the prints through the whole process. We were inspected by our local code enforcement. We never ran into any issues. And back last year in November, we finally found a sprinkler system company out of Albany. They took the job. So they ordered all the parts in November. And in April, they contacted us and they said that all the parts came in. They are coming on Monday to install it. So we reached out to the local code enforcement saying that we are ready to install it. And we were told that at this point, we know that the hydraulic calculations on that system is not right. So what our first original architect did, it's a smaller sprinkler system, which now we know that it's not good for our size of the building. So all that, we already wasted all that time waiting for the parts, and now we had to redo the prints to get the new sprinkler system being designed. And so the original sprinkler system was $33,000. The new one that we got, it comes out to $120,000. And the pumps and other parts, they are nowhere to be found at this point. So that's the situation we are at. Right now, we are still working, we're improving, we're working on the landscape just to kind of kill the time as we are waiting on the parts. But yeah, we are stuck in a corner.
So the pictures that you sent in your packet, I'm referring to Exhibit E, I believe it said in our email. They show banquet table setup, they show food setup and sternos, lighting and cars outside. So the event space is actually being used for events currently?
They allowed us to do one event for the
Shenango Commerce, and the condition was that we had the fire truck parked next to the building, and I myself took the course, and I am a licensed fire watcher.
Okay. If somebody different is going to speak, we need to have their name into the record so we know who's speaking.
Yes.
yes, I'm sorry, I'm Douglas Tarpanian. I'm Magdalena Tarpanian's husband.
Okay, thank you. And before you start speaking, just state who your name is so the court reporter knows who's talking, okay?
Okay, I'm Douglas Tarpanian.
Okay. You have something else to say, Mr. Turpney?
Yeah, I just want to say that all the wood that is in that building, we fireproofed it with a 2-hour paint rating that you could take a torch to it for 2 straight hours and it will not burn. Every piece of wood in that whole entire building is fireproofed. I just wanted to add that. And like my wife said earlier, the floors are concrete. It's got steel ceilings. I don't see how there could be a fire in there at all.
Also, Magdalena Tarpian speaking now. There are additional 3 doors that we can make as an exit doors in addition to those 2 main ones. So the total of exit doors in a building is 5.
So as the owners, what are your future plans for this building?
Weddings. Just weddings.
You stated in your application that you do not have a kitchen, but that the food is brought in catered and kept warm.
Yes.
Do you intend on instituting a kitchen somewhere in this space?
Absolutely not.
And also Magdalena Tarpian speaking. So this is our property. We live next to the castle, and next to the building we have a commercial. So we have been doing catering for last 16 years, and we decided to build a wedding venue to grow a little bit. So we already have a commercial kitchen on our property, which is next building to the castle. So all the food is being prepared in a commercial kitchen, and we transport the food to the venue. So there is no plans whatsoever to put the kitchen in the building. There is no open flame whatsoever inside.
What other fire protection devices are in the building? Do you have fire extinguishers?
Yes.
Are they located in prominent locations, spaced properly, to where they're signed properly?
So we are still waiting for our code enforcement to come. Well, for now we have six of them. I don't know if this is the appropriate amount, but we would do whatever code enforcement will tell us to do with that.
As I'm looking, I'm sorry, I'm looking at Exhibit E, and I've noticed that one set of doors, which has an exit sign, swings inward. Swing in the direction of travel. Are you aware of that? Okay. When you did the calculations under, I'm sorry, when you did your Mr. Pitcher, could you come up for a moment? This is not an existing building. Okay. This is a new construction. Code pretty much drives this to have a sprinkler system. If everybody who built a new buildings went through this process, says, hey, we don't want to spend the money on a sprinkler system, but we want to build a venue that can hold 300 to 500 people, and they can put it anywhere in New York State, including municipalities with sprinklers. The argument you would say, everybody would pitch that, saying, oh, the existing building code allows that. Existing building code is for existing buildings. It's a way New York State allowed use going through the code analysis. When you did your Chapter 13 analysis, where were you deficient without the sprinkler system?
Without the sprinkler system, the overall building score for egress, we were at minus 17. For occupancy, we were plus 1, and for the most restrictive occupancy, we were a total of minus 18. That was unseparated.
On egress, was it because of travel distance to an exit? Or was it a number of exits?
We have 3 exits. We only needed 2 exits. So we had extra exits. Maximum travel distance, was 200. The actual travel distance was 36 feet from the center of the building to each of the 3 doors.
Okay. Okay. Got me. Got me. Thank you. Not that we're looking at your chapter 13 house. I just was wondering where you were deficient. Thank you.
The deficiency was the minus number on the sprinklers
Yeah.
and the fact that it was a mixed occupancy and I was using the 8,200 square feet for all the calculations. With the walls between the occupancies, then that number came down
Okay.
on the square footage.
Okay.
While you're still here, while you're still up here, so has the construction from Exhibit D that you submitted, has this occurred?
Oh, it's proposed.
Okay,
Would be a modification to the permit.
so this knocks off quite a few windows. Have you checked as far as for ventilation, those other concerns that would come from lighting and ventilation now that with those walls here?
Well, you have to realize the center section of that is about 6 or 8 feet higher, and there are clear story windows around what would be the remaining dining space. So basically, we have, 3 foot, 4 foot high windows around. If you look at the picture, you can see the upper clear story.
And this and the other drawings show the double doors going in and out, but the pictures, I don't see a double door system, vestibule type system installed today. The original drawings that were submitted show it. Are those proposed?
We would do whatever is on the drawings. The vestibule would be constructed and the doors would be reverse the swings.
I don't think we have a picture. So I don't think Exhibit E shows picture pointing toward
Or the other direction?
Yeah, it's actually picture.
Oh, it must be showing.
Yes, that's just. Yeah, it's just the exterior one showing this direction. It's got this.
Then there's that one.
I think it's kind of looking. Probably this way.
Yes.
Okay.
This may be a question for the owner, but, how much has been invested into the project thus far?
600,000.
Comment on that?
Approximately Magdalena Carpinian, approximately $600,000.
Okay.
I know it's not part of this variance request, but do you have enough bathroom facilities for the occupancy size of this building?
No. I think it's 75 and 82 per fixture. Well, actually, no, you've got several toilets in each. On the other drawing, it's the number of stalls.
Okay,
Dale? Yeah, that drawing right there shows the number of fixtures.
So you have 6 and 5 sinks.
In the bathrooms, in the women's bathroom, we have 4 stalls and 2 sinks. In the men's, we have 2 stalls, urinal, and 2 sinks.
I'm sorry, what's my check? For how many? Yeah, okay.
This
All right.
says the sprinkler system is incomplete. So part of the sprinkler system has been installed?
No,
No, they have, I think, on site the storage tanks.
We have two. We ordered two water tanks, total of 350 thousand gallons, because we thought that original sprinkler system that was designed by the first architect was accurate. So we have purchased, as we were waiting for the pumps and everything else, we have purchased the water tanks to be, prepared. And then we were told that the whole system is not done right. So we are stuck with those tanks.
Okay.
Value of $7,000.
What type of system? Was that a 13R?
I don't know that. I assume it's a 13.
13?
Not with a one, by saw on that drawing. So they had to did it as a 13.
It was a based upon cover to bring the,
That's,
inviting sort of.
for that cost, it couldn't be more than that.
No, no.
Yeah.
And it really just has to develop areas. You can put one head in pump rooms and spring the rest.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Pitcher. Code enforcement official. I think it's Shelley was online.
Good morning.
Who's on?
My name's David Gorman. It's spelled correctly.
Okay,
I am the Director of Code Enforcement.
okay,
Our address is 5 Court Street, Norwich, New York, 13815. With us today, the remainder of my department is Stephen Fox, William Knickerbocker, who's listed under Shelley. Those are both spelled correctly. And sitting in with me is Ian Oldham. His name is spelled IANOLDHAM. Mr. Knickerbocker and Mr. Oldham are supervising this project. And I believe Bill will answer any questions you have.
what was on the original set of plans that were submitted, what was the occupant load that was proposed?
Bill, unmute yourself.
William Knickerbocker, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I had calculated that on May 11th of this year at 442. And that calculation was dimensions given to me by Magdalena at that time. So at the time of permit, I would have to defer to Ian because that was 4 years ago. But given that date and those dimensions, we finished up with an occupant load of 442.
Okay. When was the last time you inspected the project?
On that day,
In May?
May.
What was the status of construction? Was the building enclosed? Was it?
It was finished.
It was finished.
Yeah.
Was the construction done to as per the plans that were submitted in the building permit?
Well, again, I came in after, so I can't honestly answer that. Ian may be able to do that if you're on, Ian.
Yeah, you're on.
Hi, this is Ian Oldham. And the original plans were submitted. There was no sprinkler system drawing with the plans. Hence, the condition was put on the permit that a sprinkler system was required.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the question I had. Is the building constructed as it was shown in the plans that were submitted in the building permit? I asked this question because I'm showing some drawings we have showing door swings outward, also showing vestibules, but we're not seeing them in the photos. We're seeing doors that swing inward. So I'm trying to reconcile what was built as compared to what the plans were submitted.
The doors have been reversed to swing outward. There are no vestibules at the moment.
Magdalena Tarpinian, the doors are swinging outwards. It has been corrected.
Okay. So there are no vestibules that have
Correct.
been. Right? And what is the heating for this building? How is this being heated?
It's propane, outdoor tank heated with propane.
Is it forced hot air or is it
Yes,
hydraulic?
it's forced air.
Um, who from the code enforcement office reviewed the sprinkler plans?
That'd be William Knickerbocker.
Okay. What was the plans that were submitted? Was it a 13R, a 13D, a 13? What were the plans that were submitted?
Well, that's unknown. That was one of the questions we had. It was simple. We asked for specifications on Mr. Myers's submittal, including hydraulic, specifications on the sprinkler heads, piping, etc., and that was an issue. We never got that information.
Okay. All right. Board members, do you have questions for the code enforcement official?
Yeah, so, gentlemen, it was stated that the building has been used for an event. What was your interaction in that event? How did you cover that event administratively?
You want to take that, Dave?
No, go ahead, Bill.
Well, we just informed the owner to provide for a fire watch. Of the building, which included, I think, the fire department being there.
So the town did not issue a temporary C of O. The town did not issue like a use permit, something that would allow the use of the. Was it a written notice to provide a fire watch? Was it just a handshake, verbal?
I think it was probably documented through email. It's probably an email. But there's no formal document other than a conversation. So no, there was no temporary certificate or operating permit. No.
No temporary certificate of occupancy at this time?
There is not.
Was the occupant load discussed for this event?
I don't remember having that conversation. Not with me, anyway.
The life safety plan developed for it?
There was. She had provided, and in fact, my first visit, the doors were swinging in, so they had done all that, provided for the fire watch, and organized a plan. So they had reversed the doors. I think they had limited the number to something like 80, something like that. It was less than 100.
Any other questions?
Just one more. Where's the utility room in the building? See anything?
Ian?
Mhm.
Utility room?
Where the furnace forced air system would be?
Yes, water entry.
I believe it's where commissary A would be. With the proposed commissary A.
Okay.
If I may, to clarify, as you come into the building, on the right side, you see the wooden wall. So that's the wall that is separating the main room from the utility space.
Mr. Pitcher, could you come forward, just point out to her on this drawing, Exhibit D, which is the utility room?
This is the existing commissary, and that would be where the furnace is. This is proposed. Storage is proposed, so the furnace would be there.
So do these rooms on this drawing, which rooms, if you can put an X by the rooms that currently exist?
The right side, that's the only room that exists right now. So as we got the email from Mr. I think was, I don't remember the last name. I think it was Mr. DiTolio, that because of the fireproofed walls and stuff like this, we might qualify for the square footage of 6,000 something. I don't remember exact number. So I measured the main space, the bar area, and 2 bathrooms, and we fall to like 5,800 square feet if we fireproof that right side of the storage room.
Just write utility in what your initials. Thank you.
He just said that that's the only room that exists.
So these check marks includes two.
He's saying that exists.
The restrooms exist. This one's a new, the dressing room exists.
The dressing rooms are there now?
On the right side? So the storage room right now, the only thing that is there is extra chairs and some construction tools.
Okay. Does the office exist?
The office?
Yes.
No, at this point, no. But we are willing to make rooms, whatever it takes to get us on the right path.
Okay. All right. Last questions from the board.
On your application, you have, it looks like a spiral staircase in what would be called the quiet room off the women's room.
It's not existent. That was the plan, but we are not going to do it. There is no stairs there.
Okay.
So it's the tower. The tower is very tall. It's a castle. So the tower, the back tower, it's about, if I have to guess, about 40 feet tall. So we were thinking about putting like a stairs just to add to the looks, but we are not going to do this. And in an email I have received that because of the fireproofing and everything, there is some allowable area, non-sprinklered for us will be 7,500. I got that email from Mr. Thomas back in September 19th. I don't know, I don't know much about codes and I don't know if I'm understanding the wording, but this is what I saw.
Okay. One just administrative question. Mr. Gorman, could you have the code enforcement official who spoke to us a moment ago spell his last name, just so we have that?
Sure. Last name is Oldham, Oldham.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. I only have one last question for the code enforcement official. Do you support the variance or do you neutral, or how do you stand on this variance?
William Knickerbocker, I do not support the variance.
Okay.
I think we're all pretty much in agreement that we don't support the variances. Ian Oldham.
I
Okay.
have one more question for the architect.
Okay.
The intumescent paint that they used, was that inspected by a third-party inspection agency?
I don't know what that is.
That question will go to the owner. Did you have a third-party inspection agency for your intumescent paint?
No, but we are willing to do whatever you tell us to.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have all the receipts and all the empty buckets I can show you, but it wasn't inspected. But if you would like us to, we are more than happy to do so.
Thank you. Any questions for the board? Okay. All right, so I think we have all our questions asked. We are going to recess while we deliberate on this case. So we should be back in about 15 minutes. Okay?
We'll deal with that, but I don't know.
Or off the record. Go force with official. Uh-oh. Is that a problem? She's,
Oh, that's not for couple.
I'm sorry, guys. I was in the middle of talking to Sean.
okay, all right,
I wasn't at my desk. Sorry.
all right. The court reporter's been recording, so we're okay. All right, so, Mr. Pitcher, you got the message. Let's see, Mr. Knickerbocker, did you hear what I said?
Tom, I lost the last of your comment there.
Yeah, one of the things we want a verification of those exits. We had some questions about the legality of the arched exit because of the size of door and width. It may be too big and heavy, so and so it may not be a legal exit. So we want them to go through and verify the exits that they are legal and proper. We also want a set of as-bills. And then the last thing we want you to do is find a sprinkler contractor, commercial sprinkler contractor, to go in and give you a current estimate of what the cost of a sprinkler system is. We believe that the design you have, which according to the drawings that we have in our record, was produced in 2017, which was before this building permit was issued. Not sure who saw these plans from Mr. Myers, but this building permit was issued on plans that obviously were not appropriate for this occupancy. So what we would like you to do is get another set of plans and an updated cost, because we think 120,000 may not be an accurate cost.
So you're looking for a new sprinkler design stamp.
At the very least, sprinkler contractor to give you an itemized list of what it would do to 13. Mr. DeTulli has some suggestions that we gave them to go look at some folks that may be able to, close to that area, that may be able to provide you some feedback. Okay, so that's where we stand. Did you have anything else?
Did you want to mess with paint?
Oh, yes, and one thing is we will, but prior to anything, we're gonna make sure that intumescent paint is properly evaluated to make sure its thickness and stuff is by a third-party inspector. Okay?
A question here. Do you have a list of the third-party contractors that can inspect it for us?
Mr. Tertulio can get you those, some suggestions.
Thank you.
And there's one other question. On our drawing of A2, there looks like there's something on the top of the drawing. Is that a fireplace that's indicated on there?
There is a fire.
Yes, there is a propane fireplace.
There exists there now?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Nope, we just needed to answer the question. So that's why we needed an as-built, because we're seeing things that are match well. Okay.
Pictures.
What's that?
With pictures.
Yes, pictures too. More pictures from the interior, all the spaces.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I make a motion that we table this.
You got it.
Okay, Ms. Swistek said, tables, let's, second here.
able to adjourn.
Table, to adjourn this to a later date. And I'll pull the board, Mr. Garlock. Aye. Mr. Swistek, Ms. Swistek, Mr. Hinderleiter.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. 4 ayes, and I know this case has been adjourned. Thank you. Sorry I couldn't get your decision today, but.
Thank you so much for your help.
All right. Next hearing is in the matter of petition number 2022-0493. The petitioner is Maine EMS. Do we have the applicants here?
Yes, good morning. My name is Craig Wademan. I'm a senior project architect and project manager with Delta Engineers, Architects, and Land Surveyors located in Enville, New York. We are we're representing the owner, and we are also the architect and engineers of record for the project.
Okay, I'll go ahead and with your presentation.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Board members, thanks for taking the time to hear this project. I just want to make sure that everyone has, there was a letter dated September 1 with our, with the variance, with the application that was sent to Mr. DiTullio, petition for the variance. On that was a letter from myself. And then there's also a letter from Bob Lawler, who was also present here on the call, who is the code enforcement official from the town of Maine as well. So I want to make sure that everyone has those documents on this. And if you don't, please let me know. I can go down through the through the letter if you like, but ultimately to kind of give you the executive summary, if you will, the main EMS facility located on Route 26 in the town of Maine is a fairly rural town, if you will. There are no municipal water or septic that's available on the site. The fire station occurred a fire in the facility. First, they had a roof leak, excuse me, back in 2020. Then they had a fire with smoke damage in 2021. We were hired by Maine EMS to go in and do an assessment of the building. We did that along with drawings that we have currently brought to about the 90% level, if you will. We were coordinating with Bob Lawler, the code enforcement official for the town of Maine, to get his concurrence, if you will, on where we were going with the overall renovation of the project. And therein lies the crux of the discussion, if you will, regarding sprinkler coverage on the existing building. One of the items, the item in question on this is we also, in addition to Maine EMS, there's also a Dollar General store that is attached to the building that's also existing. The existing facility, the Maine EMS had asked for a resting room whereby there would be some beds located in there where EMS facility staff could rest on any overnight, from any overnight calls, if you will. With that, that gets us into a change of occupancy going from the existing building on the B side to going to an R2 occupancy. So ultimately what happens is when we go down through and do our code review on this, and as I've indicated in the letter towards the bottom, the change of occupancy under the existing building code 1011.1, small area of the B occupancy will be converted to R occupancy. Section 903 does not require fire sprinkler systems for new group B occupancy because it isn't one of the buildings being described in section 903.2.11 of the Building Code of New York State. Section 903.2.8 of the Building Code does require an automatic sprinkler system for R occupancies, which is the more restrictive occupancy classification in this case. The change of occupancy from B to R requires R occupancy to be equipped with automatic sprinklers per the existing building code 1011.2.1. And the automatic sprinkler system for the new R occupancy must be installed throughout its fire area according to 1011.1.1 of the existing building code. We're requesting that the exception listed in Chapter 8, Section 803.2.2 of the existing building code be applied to Chapter 10, change of occupancy. If they got to sprinkle the building, in a nutshell, they've got a well out there, and the well just does not have the capacity or the flow out there to charge a wet system out there for an NFP 13 system. So as a result, in what they've gone through already, there would be a very, very large cost incurred by Maine EMS to put tanks, to put pumps, to put a generator system out there to make this system a fully charged and viable system. So what we're requesting is a variance for that related to the sprinkler system. And what we would offer to increase some of the life safety requirements, as we've indicated, is that we would increase the density of the fire extinguishers within the facility, and we would also increase the fire smoke detection system in the facility and the pole stations within the facility. So with that, hopefully I painted the picture for you with regards to the existing building and what they're looking to do on this. Part of the crux of this too is the drawing that we've prepared, which is our G-002 drawing, which we have our code summary on, along with a life safety plan, a code compliance plan that would show where the occupancies are and where the fire separations, what's existing and what's proposed as new on here. So therein lies our petition for this matter, and I would defer to Bob Lawler, who's also on the call. If there's anything that I've missed, Bob, on this, or you care to add, by all means, since you're the local AHJ on this.
This is Bob Lawler. Like Craig said, I'm the code official for the town of Maine. And when first presented with the, yes.
Could you give us your address also?
Address?
Yes, please.
Yes, it's Post Office 336, Maine, New York. And our location is 12 Lewis Street in Maine, New York.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, Mr. Lawler, go ahead and continue.
Okay, so when we reviewed the plans that that had been made by Delta Engineering, I consulted with other code officials who had recently done the building of a squad facility in Western New York, just to rely on their experience. And their conclusion was that they thought it was a very good plan, but did highlight the issue of the sprinkler system. And in discussions with Delta Engineering, I asked them to come up with a plan that would minimize the risks to potential occupants, which are very small in number, and see if we could come up with a way to actually get this off top dead center, because the town of Maine is without its rescue squad now, and has been for a while, in order to get a solution to this problem. Ms. Whitman is correct, and the town of Maine does not have any municipal water system, nor sewer system, and everything depends on a well. And that alone presents a lot of problems for a lot of people. And what Delta Engineering has done, at least to my perception at this particular point, has taken the best that they can do to analyze the code as they see it, and offer a solution that is the most acceptable to the safety of the individuals that may spend the night in the squad building. And they come up with a plan that may be affordable to the rescue squad who happens to own the building. So that's it.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay.
Just before you go on, Mr. Lawler, do you support the variance?
Yes, I do support the variance. Of course, it would be a support based on that we continue to work together to review everything as we go. And I support the variance as it was requested, and it will certainly be monitored as we go to ensure that everything does go the way that Delta has planned it out, and that everything will be up to what is allowed under the variance.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
What caused the fire in there? Previous occupancy.
I'm sorry, Mr. Tully, I didn't quite hear the question.
What caused the fire in the previous occupancy?
I'm not.
If you like, I'll answer that.
Go ahead, Bob. You may know better than I.
There was a previous resident in the building had was a secondhand store, and in that secondhand store, a lamp was kicked over. Nobody discovered it, and it fell into a pile of clothes. And after an extended period of time, it caught the pile of clothes on fire. It was discovered very quickly and extinguished, and the real damage monetarily was to the Dollar General store. There was a firewall between the two, so there was no fire damage, but there was considerable smoke damage to the products in the store. And they had to replace all the products in the store, but there was no damage because of the firewall. And essentially, there's very little damage to the part of the building that was on fire.
Go ahead.
Was chapter 13 review done on this to see if it would comply with the existing building code?
If I understand it correctly, was chapter 13, if I caught that, was it chapter 13 reviewed?
Yeah, 13 performance analysis.
No, we didn't. I did not choose that path as part of this. We went to the existing building code through the various levels for the renovation, and then also the change of occupancy.
Okay.
I have a question as it relates to the smoke damage to the Dollar General building or portion of the building. It shows on the code compliance plans that there is an existing 2-hour fire barrier between the proposed altered space and the existing Dollar General. My question is, during the fire that had happened, it was indicated that there was smoke damage inside the Dollar General. If that's an existing 2-hour fire barrier, it should have prevented a lot of the smoke travel really from going into that space. Was there an HVAC system that didn't have proper dampers? Is the fire barrier not continuous up to create a sealed enclosure? I'm just curious as to how that occurred.
It's a good question. This is Bob Lawler, and that's a very good question. I've been asked that before. The smoke went from an exit from around that went around that firewall and back in the exit, the entrance to the Dollar General store. So the smoke went around the wall through exits.
Through the vestibule there. Was that a shared vestibule?
Yes, that's a shared vestibule.
going forward, it won't be a shared vestibule any longer,
Yes, we will take that into account. Absolutely.
according to these drawings.
I have another question as it relates to the proposed walls surrounding the resting room. I notice here that there's a proposed 2-hour rated fire barrier between the S2 fire area and the B fire area. So I understand that that wall is rated. The other 2 walls that make up the interior enclosure of the resting room, are those rated corridor walls? And if so, what's the proposed rating on those?
So right now on our code plan for the, for fire barriers that we have in there, they're required to be 2 hours, and we've got them, as shown as 2 hours, as well. So,
Okay, but separating, is there any separation between the resting room and the rest of the B fire area? Is that wall, it's hard to tell from the code compliance plan if that wall is proposed as a rated separation.
yes, it is.
Is it 1 hour as a corridor assembly, or are you proposing 2 hours?
2 hours.
Is the mechanical electrical room walls also rated? It doesn't show rated walls at that area?
Are you looking, on the Dollar General side, Plan North, the existing, electrical
looking at
room, and
sheet
mechanical
G.
room?
Sheet G003, inside the resting rooms, there's a small room that says electric mechanical room with no wall details on it.
Inside the resting room. There's a small vestibule that goes out the back there, but we have and also an exit out the resting room. We will, to answer your question, if by code that we need to rate these electrical and mechanical rooms because of the capacity of either the electrical service and the panels in there, then we will do so if it's required from NFPA, if we're over a certain load or size on that. And then the same thing with the storage rooms. To my knowledge, the storage rooms, what they're going to be storing in there are going to be all, I want to say, dry storage, if you will, with regards to their operations. So anything that they would need to put in their EMS vehicles, maybe it's bandages or some of those sorts of things would be stored in there, but there's no hazardous storage in there proposed by any means in those storage rooms.
And all those doors are self-closing, self-latching doors.
Where the walls are rated, absolutely.
So on drawing G03, room 7, there's electrical mechanical room, room 7, 83 square feet. That's not a mechanical electrical room? It's a storage room?
I want to bring up the correct drawing. Hang on 1 second, sorry.
Yep. It's to the left of the toilet, 18.1, that room.
Yes, my mistake. That is, I see what you're talking about. That is electrical mechanical room right there. Yes, that we'll have some new equipment in there. For example, hot water tanks and sub-feed panel for the main EMS that is fed from the main electrical room.
Will that wall have a separation in it then, enclosing that mechanical room that's within the room of the sleeping occupants?
It can. Right now, we don't have one shown there because I think what we have in there for the mechanical equipment is relatively small in terms of capacity. I think all we have in there is a high efficiency hot water heater for the shower and the bathrooms. The mechanical units, so would be air ducts that are gas fired that are up on the roof of the unit. So we don't have a boiler in that room that would be, over 400,000 BTU, if you will, for capacity.
They should have, they are separated, done a chapter 13, this would have passed the other variance.
With separation.
With separation. Yeah, I'm just sitting here doing a quick look through. If you had separated the R occupancy, and I was looking at your life safety plans, you don't even address the R as far as square footage. So, I'll be honest with you, I'm just doing a thumbnail sketch through the alternative performance method, and I don't think you need a variance for this. I think you can do this legally with separated R. This is a separate fire area because you have direct access egress out the back. I don't think you need a variance.
Excuse me, sir, Craig Wademan again. You indicated that we didn't indicate the square footage of the R?
Well, I'm looking at your drawings. You got Group B, Group M, Group S2, allowables. I'm still
do you have drawing G-002 at your disposal?
Yep, I'm looking at it right now. Where's?
Because G-002 in the code compliance plan, I'm looking at the one that has my stamp on it, and the proposed R occupancy is 426 square feet. And that's the change of occupancy. So I want to make sure that we're all looking at the same thing.
Well, I'm looking in your box saying building data, Group B, Group M, Group S2. Where's the R?
I'm calling it an accessory here.
Yeah,
Did you do it? Is that what they did here?
they call it accessory.
Oh, you call it accessory. It's unseparated or not?
It's not separated currently.
But they could separate
Separated.
the lounge.
Chapter 13,
Yeah, if you separated the lounge, the bathroom, and
and the utility.
the utility room.
Well, I'll just say this, herein lies the reason why we're here with regards to the proposed variance and not sprinkling the sprinkling or not sprinkling based on the what we outlined in the variance in the letter. So
I know you used the work area method, but if you use the performance compliance method, because this is so small in your direct access, I think if you use the other pathway, you get out of this variance. You don't need it. You're legal. I mean, we can give you if he wants to give you the variance, we'll give you the variance, but I think this should be done without it.
Well, if we put the contingency on, we'll put the rest of
It'd be the same as the chapter 13.
Right.
If we do the variance with rated R.
It's just that the fire barrier 2-hour rated separation is key.
Right. Right. I mean, if we do the variance, one of the things I would ask for, not knowing whether 13 gets you the way it is, but I'd say what I'm looking at is a fire alarm system with heat detectors in the ambulance bay that's tied to the detectors or tied to the system that covers the resting area in the conference room. I'm probably going to ask more than you may need to do. You see what I'm saying here?
I do.
Okay, I'm trying to save something here. If you don't have to spend more money, but without me doing your work for you about doing a 13 analysis, I'm going to go with based on your existing building code. And what are we doing for mitigation? And so one of the concerns is what happens if there's a problem in the ambulance bay. We had a very similar application to this from another jurisdiction not that long ago, and they had a little bit more challenges because we were dealing with aircraft, not just an ambulance bay. So, but it was the same situation. It was not adequate water supply to do the fire protection. So what I'm don't want to do is end up asking more, it cost you more than it needs to be, but certainly accommodate your request.
Well, yeah, I get, part of this is that we're offering up some additional, and believe me, I appreciate the board's candor and what you're doing and what you're offering up. On my end, we're looking at this thing saying that we're gonna have to put in, if we got 2-hour separations, then we gotta put fire smoke dampers in, we gotta tie them all back into the fire alarm system, which is an addressable system that we're doing anyway that's
Right.
coming in here. What we have offered up was additional smoke detection and pull stations as a more of another alternative with regards to the well on this. So if we dial it back and we say, okay, we go back and we do the 13 analysis, we take off the additional smoke and pull stations that we offered up in the letter, but now we got to put back in, some additional fire dampers in the fire separations, because we're basically compartmentalizing each one of these. We still have an addressable system that we're doing anyway. So now, as part of the maintenance on this for main EMS, and I'm just playing this out, they're still going to have to go through and do their yearly tests on their fire smoke detectors that would have to do anyway. In addition to that, then we also have to, they've got to check all their fire smoke dampers in addition to that. So, the pendulum sits there, on this, on that.
Okay.
As far as just to give you where we are in time frame, I mean, the whole project, because of the variance process and where we are and COVID and the rest of the world, this whole thing has been delayed about a year on this because of this. So, and we're, like I said, we're rounding third and heading home on the drawings as they sit right now. On this. So that's kind of where we're at. So I guess I would, I guess I'm at a fork in the road, if you will, with regards to whether we go back and do an evaluation on chapter 13 and we pull the variance off the table, or do we keep forging ahead where we are right now?
Okay. We'll move forward on your variance application. I was just trying to give you opportunity to reevaluate if there was some doing it legal and within compliance with the code, as well as maybe not overshooting as far as what you want to do or what you feel you have to do. So.
Right. Okay. No, I appreciate, again, I appreciate your honesty and your candor in bringing that up.
Okay. One question, Mr.
I have and this is, I'm new to the board and understanding its process and procedures. I mean, if the point of a variance is because compliance with the code would create excessive, unreasonable economic burden, inhibit achievement of some important safety public, that's the variances to provide relief. If we have a code compliant path that doesn't create that situation, should we exhaust that first before granting a variance? I don't know what the habit of the board is and that, and just.
The board's habit is actually, we would prefer them to go through, alternatives without doing a variance.
Okay.
It's in the best interest, but we've heard the applicant. I think it's pretty clear they've got a
reasonable case.
Yep. Okay. Any further questions to the board of the applicant? Okay. Do you have any more comments, Mr. Lawler or Delta?
No, I want to reiterate that I have the utmost confidence in that Delta Engineering is working very hard to come up with a compliance solution that is not just compliant but addresses the safety as well. And I thank the board for their consideration.
You're welcome. Okay, Mr. Redmond, do you have any further comments?
No, I'm good. Thank you for thank you for your time on this matter.
Okay, all right, so we're going to take a short recess while they deliberate. We'll be back in about 15 minutes.
So you guys out again.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for reconvening our hearing on petition. 0022-043. This is with regard to the EMS. And do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion with respect to the petition of Craig Wademan, AIA of Delta Engineers, Architects, and Land Surveyors. Petition number 2022-0493, requesting a variance to the following sections of the Uniform Code. Petition submitted by Craig Wademan, AIA, Delta Engineers, Architects, and Land Surveyors, LLC, 860 Cooper Road, Endwell, New York, 13760, pertains to a variance for alterations made during repair of the main emergency squad tenant space. Main EMS occupies a tenant space of approximately 6,624 square feet. Type 2B construction, 1 story in height, located at 2656 State Route 26, Town of Maine, County of Broome, New York State. Petitioner is seeking relief from 19 NY CRR 227, the existing building code, section 1011.2.1, fire sprinkler system, which states, where a change in occupancy classification occurs, or where there is a change of occupancy within a space where there is a different fire protection system threshold requirement in Chapter 9 of the Building Code of New York State that requires an automatic fire sprinkler system to be provided based on the new occupancy in accordance with Chapter 9 of the Building Code of New York State. Such system shall be provided throughout the area where the change of occupancy occurs. Petitioner is seeking relief for a variance to not comply with installing the required sprinkler system due to insufficient water supply. The board makes the following findings. The building that is subject to this petition pertains to the main emergency squad located in tenant space at 2656 State Route 26, Town of Maine, County of Broome, New York State. 2, the building that is the subject of this petition is a mixed-use occupancy with the petitioner's tenant space main EMS occupancy as follows. Section 304.1 B Business Office, Section 310.4 R4 Residential Congregate Living Facilities, Resting Room, Section 311.3 S2 Storage, Parking Enclosed Garages, Apparatus Bay. 3, the building that is the subject of this petition is properly classified as Type 2B non-combustible unprotected construction with a total area of 17,222 square feet for 2 tenant spaces, a Dollar General mercantile occupancy in the petitioner's space known as main EMS, which is 7,311 square feet, 1 story in height. 4, petitioner is reconstructing the existing tenant space at which a fire event occurred, and work is a level 3 alteration with a change of occupancy, adding a bunk room. New York State existing building code section 1011.2.1 states, where a change in occupancy classification occurs or where there is a change of occupancy within a space where there is a different fire protection system threshold requirement in Chapter 9 of the Building Code of New York State that requires an automatic sprinkler system to be provided based on the new occupancy in accordance with Chapter 9 of the Building Code of New York State. Such system shall be provided throughout the area where the change of occupancy occurs. 5, Exhibit B floor plan notes that the 2 tenant spaces are separated by a continuous 2-hour fire barrier and main EMS interior spaces, S2 apparatus bay and B office and operation areas are separated by a 2-hour fire rated barrier. The resting room R4 is not separated for the operational space. 6, the petitioner's consultants state in Exhibit A that the building water supply is provided via private well as there is not a municipal water system in the township. 7, the petitioner's consultants state in Exhibit A, the installation of the required sprinkler system involves extensive alteration to the structure to install water storage tanks and would create an economic burden to completing the repairs to main emergency squad's main EMS facility. 8, the petitioner's consultant proposes the following alternatives in lieu of sprinklering the building. A, increase the frequency of fire extinguishers by decreasing the distance between locations from 150 feet to 75 feet. And B, install increase in detection and alarm system, install increase in the detection and alarm system than required, providing for quicker detection and notification. 9, petitioner states in Exhibit A narrative, the municipal government notes the importance of the main EMS and having a central location to provide emergency services to localities and their residents. 10, the local code official has been consulted in this matter and does support the granting of this variance under Part 1205. In view of the above findings and testimony provided, the board finds that strict compliance with the code would entail practical difficulties, unnecessary hardship, or otherwise be unwarranted because such would create an excessive and unreasonable economic burden, would inhibit achievement of some other important public policy, or would be unnecessary in light of alternatives which, without a loss in the level of safety, achieve the intended objective of the code, hereby granting this variance. Therefore, I move that the above petition be granted with the following conditions. That the R4, 1, that the R4 occupancy is separated as its own fire area from the rest of the building. And 2, that all other aspects of this building and construction shall be in compliance with the applicable codes, rules, and regulations. Furthermore, it should be noted that the decision of the board is limited to the specific building and application before it is contained within the petition. It should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of this application. So,
Mr. Garland, do we have a second? Second. Mr. Interlater seconds. Poll the board, Ms. Swistak. Mr. Interlater.
Yes.
Mr. Garland.
aye.
Chair votes aye, 4 ayes, no nays. Variance has been granted. Okay. Good. Thank you, folks. We'll now move on to our next hearing, which is in the matter of petition.
Thank you very much.
202-0522. Petitioners post residence. Do we have the applicants here? Come on up. State your name and your address for the court reporter and
Renee Post, 12 Waverly Street, Banner, New York, 14889.
Her husband Wayne Post, 12 Waverly Street, Manhattan, 14889.
okay. Can you just come a little closer? I just want to make sure it gets picked up on the microphone. Thank you. Okay. Go ahead and tell us about your application.
We are applying for a variance to be able to stay on our private well versus returning to the town water system. We applied in April, I guess. We requested from the board to be allowed to be taken off of our public water, and go to our private well. Mr. Harold Shoemaker gave us permission, specifically stating that he knew of no law, no regulation, no rule why we couldn't do it, but gave us specifications. We had to have our water tested by an independent agency. Our county health department no longer tests water outside of their city proper. So we had that done. We tested through a private individual. Guthrie.
Yeah, Guthrie.
It's through the Guthrie system. We were required to have a certified plumber do the work. We did that and showed that gave that information to the village, to the town. We went on our own water and, it's been wonderful. And we're requesting this variance because I myself have several medical conditions that are all related to, I have seborrheic keratosis, I have related to, I have psoriatic arthritis, I have psoriasis. The chlorine seriously exacerbates my skin conditions. And I have requested over the years several times to be allowed to leave the public water system. The chlorine is horrible for your system when you have these conditions. And was always denied. Recently, within the last couple of years, our village was dissolved. So again, we approached the town board and said, come on, please let us do this. My skin literally falls off. So can we please do something? And no. And then again, this spring, we went and spoke with Mr. Shoemaker at the urgence of Mr. Leclerc, who is the code enforcement officer. Said that was who we needed to speak with. We did that. We got all the permission, as I previously mentioned. We did everything we needed to do, let them know. They said, let us know, we'll come take out the meter and it'll be severed from our water system. 2 months later, here we are. Being told that we now have to apply for a variance to be able to stay off of the public water.
Okay, so just to clarify, you're already disconnected?
Yes.
And you're on your private well?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Okay, let's hear, I see Mr. Shoemaker and Mr. Leclerc are here. Would either one of you like to speak to this application? Mr. Shoemaker, would you like to speak on this application?
Unmute yourself, please. We're both here together, so,
Okay,
it was just easier.
just state whoever's speaking so our court reporter knows. And your name and your address.
I'm Rich Leclerc. And we are at 6G Street, Manhattan, New York, 14889. And I am the code enforcer.
Okay, and would you like to speak on regards to this application?
So the reason the violation was put out there was that we had the state contact me as far as there was a complaint that, we were trying to handle it ourselves. We didn't know what we were supposed to do. And then Chad Haviland from the state did contact me and say that, you're gonna have to put a violation out there because of the cross contamination and make sure that they are disconnected from the municipal water. So I did that, I believe, on September 1st to disconnect them from the municipal water. So there was no cross contamination. And then I also wrote the violation, which was 2601, I believe. Or 2602, I'm sorry, 0.1. So that's where we're at. And then Mr. Haviland also said that they can get a variance to be disconnected from the well. And hook to their well.
And do you object or do you support their application?
I support their application. I understand where they stand. But then, I also understand the potable water side too.
Okay. Does Mr. Shoemaker want to make any statements or are you all set?
Well, this is Harold Shoemaker. I'm the director of water. When we first I'll back up. When the post first contacted myself about, wanting to disconnect from the municipal water, our rules and regulations state that if they were to disconnect from the municipal water, they would still be responsible for the monthly charge of $33.06, plus they still would be responsible for the debt service. That was our rules and regulation, and that's what what I was going by, or what we were going by. As we dug into it a little further with the Chemung County Health Department and contacting them, they were all that, they came back as that the state code that they could not disconnect from the water. And we were working with the post when prior to them turning off their, excuse me, before they went back to their well. We talked with them, and as we went step by step, we were, again, as Rich said, we were learning as we progressed on through this, I guess, this system here. Again, I don't, she accused me of not being upfront with her and not telling me the truth. But like I said, we worked up through it as we got more information. And from the health department, we even contacted them to see if their rules and their sanitary, if there was anything in there that would prevent them from disconnecting. And the only thing they had in their sanitary code, if it was a new construction. So, as Rich said, then I got turned into the state, and we're just following the rules, and going through with it. And it was an unfortunate situation for them and for us the way it ended up. But this is the process they needed to go through, and like I say, we support their, going through the process, as long as again, they're aware of the fact that they're still liable for the monthly billing and the debt service.
Just a clarification. So I think I understand it, but correct me if I'm wrong, but the water, the municipal water supply has been removed. The connection has been removed from their house altogether. So there's actually no physical connection between their home and the water system. Is that correct?
Correct. We disconnected the meter. So there's no connection between us and them.
Okay. Did you remove the piping between the building and the meter? Excuse me, between the building and the curb belt?
We have not done.
Okay. Can anybody tamper with that and connect and cross connect it? Is it?
The pipe does go into their basement. Yes, we can disconnect that.
Okay. I think obviously our interest and concern would be the health, was to make sure that there would be no possibility that a physical connection could be made, nefariously, such that there would be potential for contamination. So obviously that would be my concern.
And again, this is Harold Shoemaker. If I might add, one of their reasons for the wanting to go back to their well was the amount of consumption they were using each month. With the number of residents in their home, they were using around 9,000 gallons a day or a month, and our normal rate was 4,000 gallons under the multiple dwellings rate. And that's what they came back, was that their biggest concern was what it was costing them. And when I mentioned to them that they would still be responsible for the monthly billing rate of 33, or originally it was 6608, that went back to 3304 because of the change in the multiple dwelling. But that's, again, her comment was, well, if I have to pay that monthly bill, that's a lot less than what I'm paying connected to the water. So,
Is this a multiple dwelling, or is this a single family?
Single family home, sorry.
well, it was originally, when it was in the village, when they were running the system, it was listed as a multiple dwelling.
1992.
Followed through with that as a multiple dwelling until when Mrs. Post came in and started this process. She was hadn't been a multiple dwelling for years. And so, we went ahead, and our building clerk went ahead and refigured up the difference between the multiple dwelling and the consumption they were using. And it ended up that there, from the time we took over the water system, in December of 2000, I'm sorry, January of 2019, we issued them a credit. I believe it was like $1,056 for that, for changing it back from the multiple dwelling to the single dwelling.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any questions from the members of the board?
You had noticed on the Guthrie Form Exhibit 1A water sample, it tested present for total coliform. Is that true?
That is the very first test that we had done. We've had it tested 4 times total.
Was that result consistent? Or
No,
inconsistent?
actually, the last time when she called me, she said it has minute traces of coliform, but that's normal.
Okay.
They deemed it potable water.
Okay. Total coliform is pretty common in wells and groundwater. Generally, it's recommended if it is actively present, you'll want to treat
Yes.
it.
Yes, she did say that.
Okay. So, I have one condition that may be part of this variance is this is for single-family residence. This is at all ever converted back to a multiple dwelling where it's split or apartments or, the variance would know, but
As long as we own it, it will not be.
okay. It's going to
Right.
carry on to future.
It hasn't been a 2-family home since 2005, January of 2005. The water system went in 2008. So it's never been a 2-family house since the public water went in. Something like
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right, we're going to take a short recess and then we'll bring it back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Go out there. Okay, we're now back in session. We'll go back and review case number 2022-0522 regarding to post variance. And do I have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead.
Petition for Renee and Wayne Post, petition number 2022-0522. The petition pertains a variance for Renee and Wayne Post, 12 Waverly Street, Van Etten, New York, concerning a single-family residence, wood frame construction, 3,215 square feet, 2 stories in height, located at 12 Waverly Street, Town of Van Etten, County of Chemung, New York State. The petitioner is seeking relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1220, the Residential Building Code, Section 2602.1, which states the water distribution system of any building or premises where plumbing fixtures are installed shall be connected to a public water supply. Where a public water supply system is not available or connected to a supply that is not feasible, an individual water supply shall be provided. Individual water supplies shall be constructed and installed in accordance with the applicable state and local laws. Petitioners' criteria: strict compliance with the section above would entail practical difficulties, unnecessary hardship, and would otherwise be unwarranted because such would be unnecessary in the light of alternatives which, without a loss in the level of safety, achieve the intended objective of the code or would entail a change so slight as to produce a negligible additional benefit with the purpose of the code. Findings and facts. 1. Such petition pertains a single-family residence, wood frame construction, 3,215 square feet, 2 stories in height, located at 12 Waverly Street, Town of Van Etten, County of Chemung, New York State. Number 2, the subject petition pertains to requesting relief to allow petitioner to disconnect from the public water system and reconnect to the previous private well for domestic water. Number 3, the petitioner states in their narrative, exhibit number 3, that after connecting to the public water system, health conditions were exacerbated due to the presence of chemical treatments used in the water purification methods. Number 4, the petitioner has provided medical records noting aggravated medical conditions, exhibit number 4, that the petitioner contends has occurred since connecting to the public water system. Number 5, the petitioner states that the town of Van Etten had informed them that New York State variance may be requested and provided procedures to obtain relief, exhibit number 2, letter from Sales and Evans attorney at law as the town's legal representative. Number 6, the petitioner has provided evidence that the existing private well has been tested and has passed New York State and county department requirements. Exhibit number 1, test by Fran Connor, test assured network, conducted May 27th, 2022. Number 7, the local code office has been consulted in the matter and neither supports or opposes the granting of the variance under Part 1205. Therefore, the board grants a variance with the following criteria. In view of the above findings, the board finds in the application before them that strict compliance with the code would entail practical difficulties, unnecessary hardship, or would otherwise be unwarranted because such would be unnecessary in light of alternatives, which, without a loss in the level of safety, achieve the intended objective of the code, or would entail a change so slight as to produce a negligible additional benefit with the purpose of the code. Wherefore, it is determined that the application for variance from 19 NYCRR Part 1220, the Residential Building Code, Section 2602.1 B, and is hereby proposed to be granted with the following findings. That the building remains as a single-family residence. This decision is limited to the specific building and application before it, as contained within the petition, and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of the application. I so moved.
A motion from Ms. Swistak. Do I hear a second?
Second.
And Leiter seconds. Pull forward Mr. Garlock. Aye. Mr. Leiter. Aye. Swistak.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, 4 ayes, no nays. Variance is granted. So. And that concludes our hearings for today. We'll go off the record.
Thank you.